Welcome to Film Strip. These podcasts are spoiler-filled as we discuss the plots, characters, and themes of the films in review. All content used or discussed in these podcast episodes is the property of the respective owners and used under the Fair Use Act, Section 504(c)(2), Title 17.
Welcome to Film Strip. I'm Jay.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're here to talk about Too Fast, Too Furious, starring Paul Walker, Tyrese Gibson, Eva Mendes, James Remar, Tom Berry, Chris Ludacris Bridges, Devin Aoki, and Cole Hauser. Directed by John Singleton. Yes, that one. Released in the summer of 2003 on a $76 million budget, so he doubled from the first movie. Grossed over $230 million at its box office run. So we're back to this franchise and part of our February series on terrific or terrible twos. Jury out on this one as we get to it, but happy to welcome back to the show, Brian. Brian, what's up, man?
Hey, glad to be back.
Yeah, you've been wanting to do this one for a while, and we needed a good excuse, and it's always fun to talk to you, and you are kind of our gearhead expert when it comes to these things, and I have questions, so I hope you have answers for this tonight. So.
Gearhead being all relative, I might know just a little bit more than you guys, but
I question the veracity of some of what we're told in this movie, but that's another day. But first off, though, backgrounds on this, Brian, did you see this one in theaters? Like, what's your deal with Too Fast, Too Furious?
No, I didn't see it in theaters, Jay. I think I was 12 at the time when it came out. This wasn't one of the movies that we ended up going to see. But no, this has always been one of my favorites. It's a lot of fun. You know, it's got that Miami lifestyle in it that was really popular. I do kind of remember that happening at the time. So it's just a lot of fun to see the crowds that they bring in and how they design and style the cars. And I recognize, of course, always the Sea-Doo scene because that's a big thing for me. So it's just a lot of fun on so many different levels.
What about you, Ryan?
Also 12 years old when this movie came out. It did, you know, it did make our way to my household. My brother loved the first one when he finally got a hold of it. So, of course, he needed to see the second one. And we're very close in age. So we were watching those movies together for a very long time. But, you know, in theater, no. Still enjoys the Fast and Furious franchise. So I'm excited to see what everyone's opinion is on this one. What about you, Linz?
I was not 12 when this movie came out, so I did see this in the theater. I saw the first one in the theater too, and the third one. I saw several of them. I grew up in a small town, so our theater only had 3 movies in it at a time, and this one actually played for a while. So I probably went to see it a couple times. I mean, it was a big hit. It was all the rage. Everybody loved the franchise when it came out. So it was a must see.
Well, I was also not 12 when this was released, but I wasn't married yet. So I liked the first one too because I liked its origin stories, Point Break, as we talked about on the last Fast and Furious show. And so when I saw the trailers for this, I'm like, okay, they're going to do this. And it's directed by the guy that did Boys in the Hood and Higher Learning. Okay, color me intrigued. And I saw the aesthetic and said, okay, if they went for Point Break remake last time, they're definitely not doing that this time. This looks like a reboot of Miami Vice, which I was always down for because I grew up with the original Miami Vice before I think Brian and Ryan existed on the planet. That show was a thing. But I went and saw this in theaters in the little small town I was working in at the time. We had I think 4 screens in Troy or whatever at the time. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'm going to go do this. And so I went on some random, weeknight. I didn't go on the opening weekend or anything, but I went and saw it. And I thought that was incredibly dumb, but it was kind of fun. And then, I caught it through the years on cable. And then I think when Peacock first came out, they had the whole collection. And I've seen all of the Fast movies in a theater up until Fast X. And I still haven't seen that. I'm probably just holding it until we ever get around to it 10 years from now, at the rate we do these shows. But I remember seeing this one and thinking, okay, did I miss Vin Diesel in this? Probably not, but I missed something else. And we'll get into it as we go into it because I felt like this movie had a lot happening and it was trying to go in a lot of different places. And that's the fun part about this franchise for me is that they have these 2 chapters in parts 2 and 3 where they clearly don't know what to do. And we're going to do something different every time. So they would do this. And then they put a kid from like not far from where I grew up in Alabama in the third one in Tokyo because you can't get more fish out of water than that dude in Tokyo, Japan. And that accent is real. It is not affected. That is how that man sounds. And he sounded that way since Sling Blade. And I appreciate that about him. But so I saw this one, and this introduced me though to Tyrese Gibson. I was only tertiarily aware of his presence. I obviously knew
because you're a guy. That's why.
Yeah, I was not his demographic, clearly. But of course, I knew James Remar from all the stuff he's been in. Eva Mendes, because I'm a guy, I know who that is. Paul Walker, and then I've never seen Devin Aoki in anything but these movies. But I knew who Ludacris was, and I'm like, okay, he's going to try to be an actor. And I was like, this is going to go about like it did with Ja Rule, and I was pleasantly surprised that no, you're better than Ja Rule, Luda. So I'll give you that compliment. And then Cole Hauser, it's just funny to me now because I saw him in these random things. He was in Higher Learning playing like a skinhead and all this. And then now he's the most famous fat cowboy on earth, that all the women love. But here he was just this skinny little twerp and he kept showing up in all these movies as a bad guy.
With a fake tan, and that is not his natural hair color.
No, nor his natural voice.
No.
So, he's playing like a white baby Scarface, which we'll have to get into. But yeah, I knew they were resetting it, and I thought, okay, I'm down for it. And again, every once in a moon, I'll just come across this. I'm like, I think I'll watch this one, or I'll watch the third one. They're kind of like comfort food ones in the genre, but I'm curious as we get into this one, how it lands for everybody here. But just real quick though, and Brian, I really want your opinion on this one. Like, compared to the first one, like, how did this one hit as strong for you, or was it like, I don't know,
It just felt so different, because it wasn't the whole crew. So it kind of felt like it in offshoots, it kind of bolstered Brian's character, and definitely Rome's is really where it felt like he shined.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was just kind of different, kind of like Tokyo Drift. Like for me, those two just kind of stand out from the rest of the franchise, and I think they always will, because it's not the whole crew doing one thing together. Of course, Dom's not in it. But like I said, it was still just a lot of fun. And I think the basis that it's still just about, at its core, still about street racing and, so a much smaller, relatively speaking, money run that they're doing there at the end. So I've always enjoyed it. I think it's kind of hard to compare, it's apples and oranges to me because I consider Too Fast, Too Furious, along with Tokyo Drift, just so separate from the rest of them. They kind of have their own place to me.
Yeah. Did anybody else wonder why Vin Diesel wouldn't do this? They offered him $20 million and he said no, which is kind of wild that he would ever be in a position to say no to something like that. So, because what he went and did instead of this was the one where he's basically remaking Kindergarten Cop, but lousy.
Oh, that I was wondering if it was a scheduling conflict.
Oh no, he created the scheduling conflict, but he chose that over this. So.
I don't know. I did read that they had 2 different scripts in case, one with Vin Diesel and one without, in case he decided not to accept the offer. So I guess he had planted that seed at some point that he just wouldn't do it. But I don't know why. Specifically, I don't know why.
I mean, the party line is that he didn't want to be typecast in these things, which is funny because then he would come back later and this is his franchise. Like, this is kind of his whole life. So it would be like Stallone turning down a Rocky movie in the 80s. Like, and I know those were his baby anyway, but like he never said no to that. So, but
maybe he thought during that time, a lot of sequels were kind of like the kiss of death. I mean,
True.
I thought
That's a good point.
yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe the thought for him was the first one was great. Second one, we don't know. I'm just gonna go off and do something else. Which
Right.
you did see quite a bit during that time in American cinema.
This is true. This is true. But like Bad Boys 2 came out this same year. X2 came out this same year, and they were both massive. You had Matrix Revolutions, Terminator 3. Those are all in the top 10. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, by the way, Lindsay, the highest grossing film of 2003.
Yeah.
Imagine if Keanu Reeves during Matrix just went, nah, I'm good.
Hell no. That man said yes.
Oh, I know, but I'm just like saying, like as an
Yeah.
example, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's if Keanu
No.
Reeves said, nah, I'm out.
No,
And you
yeah.
couldn't have imagined how huge this franchise would blow up
No, I don't think
at
anybody
that
knew.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he
This one
came.
ranked in 17th on the year.
Mm,
But still in front of like, Elf and SWAT and some pretty, big movies. Kill Bill was way down the list compared to that. But, I've told you number one. Oddly enough, I don't know how that happened. Usually the kids' movies kill everything, but I guess Lord of the Rings is impenetrable. Finding Nemo was two that year just for posterity's sake. But, you know,
that was the impenetrable kid movie you were talking about.
that
It
is the
just
impenetrable kid movie. So, and
they decided they weren't going to Isengard.
there was also when Jim Carrey was just bulletproof, but Bruce Almighty was fifth, and I did see that in theaters, and I have pretty good memories of it. It's not too bad. So.
I think one more thing to consider though about why he wasn't in it is because if you had had Vin Diesel in this one, don't you think Letty would have also had to have been in it? And if
Right.
she was in it, then you also would have required to have Mia in it as well. So it kind of would have been the same cast. So
Hmm.
it's funny. Like looking back, it's interesting not having a Fast and Furious movie without him in it. But I also can't imagine him fitting into this one as it is in any way either.
No, that's a good point, Brian, because this is still a race culture movie in some ways. It's not till the fourth one that they become like heist movies and things like that, and about other things. They become the cops and robbers movies, but and teched out spy movies and stuff. But this one and Tokyo Drift still hang on to the car as the big part of the story, or the cars are a big part of the story. So no, that's an excellent point. He would not have fit in this script, though. I've never looked at it. I would have loved to have known what the script was with him in it.
Well, I just wouldn't have wanted
Mm.
Letty in it either because that would kind of have thrown off the whole thing, right? Because the
Hmm.
undercover that was originally on it, and I can't remember her name at this time, but that love interest that she had with Brian, when normally it's Dom and Letty's love interest is kind of the focus. So,
Right.
just something to think about. But
No,
I
no,
think if you had one, you would have had to have all of them.
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah, you can't just invite one of them. You got to have the whole crew. So, well, Lindsay, I invite you now to crank the engines, kick the tires, whatever it is you need to do, hit the nos, and tell us what Too Fast, Too Furious is all about.
It's 2003. Frosted tips are a lifestyle, low-rise jeans are an extreme sport, and flip phones snap shut with the authority of a judge's gavel. Brian O'Connor, freshly unemployed from the I got way too chummy with criminals department, relocates to Miami where street racing pays better than retail and everything has more neon than your college bar. Tej Parker runs the local race scene like he's modding your Tony Hawk cheat codes. And we cue a 4-car opener. Brian's R34 Skyline, Suki's Anime Pink S2000, Slapjack's Supra, and Orange Julius's RX-7. A drawbridge rises mid-race because 2003 believed in practical stunts and consequences later. Brian makes the jump, cops fire a sci-fi harpoon that zaps his electronics, and he's hauled in, only to find out that he's actually being recruited by the feds to take down Carter Verone, a villain whose business model is basically yacht plus vibes. Brian calls in Roman Pierce, his snack-fueled bestie with trust issues and the kind of ankle jewelry you don't put in your MySpace top 8. The feds hand them government-issued tuners, Brian's Neon Lancer Evolution 7 and Roman's Purple Eclipse Spider, both secretly GPSed. They're then auditioned by Verone and Monica Fuentes, who is an undercover customs agent who is not terribly convincing, playing the role of Verone's girlfriend. Brian and Roman pass with flying colors and are hired by Verone to move duffel bags of cash while his goons Enrique and Roberto ride shotgun. But before the main mission can take place, some very important mods are made to the government tuners, including de-GPSing and Injectocito, cuz. After acquiring the duffel bags, we are treated to the great Miami car swarm. Hundreds of vehicles exploding out of a garage like the analog version of clearing your browser history. In the chaos, Brian and Roman ditch the shiny imports for old school muscle they'd won earlier, a 69 Yenko Camaro and a 70 Dodge Challenger. Because swapping to V8s in the early aught is the early aughts equivalent of changing your aim away message. Dramatic and somehow effective. Roman manages to eject his passenger problem. Brian outmaneuvers his, and they aim the Camaro at Verone's yacht, make the jump, and arrest him with physics filing a formal complaint. The feds grumble thanks, the guys keep a discreet souvenir stack of cash, and the moral stands. Friendship, snacks, and NOS, still a valid operations plan.
Well done, well done.
I love the social media references.
Yes, all of that felt very 2003. I was taken back.
Just a walk down memory lane.
I had enough hair to do frosted tips, but was too old, so I did not.
I had enough low-rise jeans to understand the extreme sport.
That, yeah. Well, yeah, we're not going to play
no more. No
my
more.
cousin, my 15-year-old cousin has recently been rocking the frosted tips. And I swear to God, he would have fit into that opening scene so well that I wouldn't have been able to find him.
I think frosted tips, and I just think of that boy group LFO with their like unbelievably catchy, like that goofy referencey song. That song sucks so bad, but it gets in your head. You can't forget it. So, like the immediate change
did have a bunch of hits, Jay.
They
Chinese food does on occasion make me sick.
Yeah.
And I think it's why when girls stop by for the summer.
I love that we got Lindy's spoken word of that song. It was
like slam poetry.
I was just thinking of slam poetry night.
I did not have that on my my bingo card for the night, but here we are. So
you're like the extreme goofy movie girl from the slam poetry girl. We just need to put a beret on you.
Yes, yeah, beret and like one of those Capri 100 cigarettes. Like that would be what you would have had going on in 2003.
And Brian can do the Leaning Tower of Cheesa.
Oh my gosh.
How many movie references can I fit in?
Speaking of cheese, the change in tone here is, I think, directly attributable to two things. To the director, John Singleton, that I want to talk about in a minute, and the change in scenery going from California to Miami, because this is a whole different thing. I've been to both places, but Miami, fun fact, a lot of like the aesthetic of Miami that became Miami's aesthetic is because Miami Vice would rent and buy these really crappy places for their production and would paint them all up and make them look nice. And then they just left it. Nice. And then people were like, well, let's not let that go to waste. And, the hilarity ensued. But bringing in John Singleton for this, again, a stylistic difference. And a lot of people, again, think about him for like Boys in the Hood and Higher Learning and stuff like that. But I mean, this was a guy that could direct a lot of action and stuff. He did the Remember the Time Michael Jackson video. I don't know if you'll remember that one, but it's a really like complicated, nice looking video. It had a lot of people in it and stuff. And he just had a vision for things. And he did one of my favorite, like, sequel C-makes, I call those. If y'all have ever seen the Samuel L. Jackson Shaft movie, that came out in 2000. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of Christian Bale's best performances, and he's such a bad guy, and he's such a baby in it, and he's
I
so
don't
good.
know if I've
Like
seen
all
that.
that intensity that he
Yeah.
had throughout his career, you see it there. But I love Singleton doing this because he's not the obvious choice, but I feel like he has the right touch for it. And if you're going to do a sequel to a movie, like you were talking about, Brian, if we bring back the whole gang, then what? How do we make it different or whatever? Well, part of that got solved for him when they were like, we're just going to focus on Brian. We're going to bring in this new character, Roman. But I think the scenery also really gives it a different shot of life. Like this movie opens like the last one did with a race, but it's a very different vibe.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was definitely very different. And in addition to introducing Roman, I don't think Tej was in the first one. Well, no,
Yep.
this was Ludacris's first one. So I think, they needed to have this change of scenery, to put people in kind of a different perspective. But also, I mean, Miami was just very popular at that time. And I think to have a movie in that setting made a lot of sense. Um, I actually learned today there is a prelude to this one. There's a 6-minute prelude that was created by Fast and Furious that kind of introduced, how and why he ended up down there. And looking back, it makes sense. But I really like this setting. I think that this is kind of was supposed to represent where Tej was, in that he was down on the waterfront, and that's kind of he ran this shop and he ran all these races, and he had boats tied up out back that he let friends stay in when they were on the run, apparently. So I think the change of scenery was a really good thing for this movie, and I think it was needed to introduce the characters that they were bringing in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as Will Smith once famously said, $100,000 cars, everybody got them.
I feel like this is gonna be Lindsay just dropping pop culture on us tonight.
In Miami.
I had something kind of funny I was going to say, and then she said that and went, never mind. I'm going to retract my statement. I'm just going to absorb into myself.
I do like the idea that like where would Brian O'Connor be, after this? He let the guy go, because we've never known what happened to Johnny Utah at the end of Point Break when he let Patrick Swayze Bodie go and surf his last in Australia or wherever the heck he was. But where would Brian O'Connor be now? A couple of years later, what would have happened to him? And obviously, he's not a cop anymore. And like you said, he's like, well, he can kind of scrape it by racing. He's still running that Skyline, which was his car. He loved that, And I love that he's so well known. They've got a race going, and I love that you gave those characters names. I didn't know anybody had a name. I was like, that's Sucre from Point Break. That's useless dude with half a fro, and that's Pink Girl, who obviously we need to get to know because she has real lines, and they said her name, Suki. So I was like, okay, that's the only one you got paying attention to. Because these other people, like her and her Barbie vet, are gonna do problems for people. These other people, they're there for comedy. But I love that he's so well known that we got to have a fourth, and Luda's like, I got you right now. I'm gonna call the whitest dude I know and bring him down there, and in pure Paul Walker white boy fashion, he rolls right into the screen.
That is a perfect way to describe it. Yes.
I mean,
my question with that is though, why wasn't he already there?
That's what I wanted to know. Yeah. I mean,
they're supposed to be such good friends, and he didn't give him a heads up that there's this massive race where everybody was going to be, and he was just waiting at home.
Is the implication that like because he's been kind of lying low after the first movie that maybe Tej is like his person that gives him the green light if he thinks that it's safe from cops or undercover cops?
That's a good read. I hadn't thought about it like that, but it makes sense. Yeah.
Granted, he didn't do a very good job, as we well know, if that is in fact true, because I actually thought for a brief moment that maybe when he saw Monica that he knew her. No, he was ogling a pretty lady.
Well, I mean, like in most of these movies and stuff, outside of the couple of agents that you get to know, the cops are mostly useless, and even some of the agents are useless, like that I want to be Freddie Prinze, but I'm not cool enough agent.
Yes.
He did
kind of look like Freddie Prinze.
He looked like Freddie's like stunt double, but he didn't know what in the hell he was doing, that guy. And but I love that we get them in, and I like your theory that Tej is hooking him up with the good race to get into when it's safe or when it's going to be good for him. I also kind of took it as Brian had taken down everybody so much. So if he had shown up, nobody would have wanted to race. And then when he shows up, it's like, well, now we gotta,
Right.
which is funny because in the first movie, he's a poser the whole way. Like he doesn't know what he's doing until the very end of the movie. So I thought that was a neat character build for him.
Yeah, I mean,
I
they
don't know. You could call him a poser, Jay. I mean,
Vin called him a buster.
I
So-
mean, well, it was his first race against Dom. It doesn't seem like anybody beats Dom, and I think he went out there basically in that situation. I mean, his job was to infiltrate, right? So he was swinging for the fences on that one. And it's one of those you only got one shot, and if you've never raced somebody like that before, you just go out with everything you have and. Sometimes in this case, it still wasn't enough. But he did know what he was doing. I mean, he was working at the speed shop. He knew what was going on.
Mhm.
He could identify different things. So I can't let you call him a poser. He knew what he was doing.
I feel like he's the guy that worked at Guitar Center that could play every damn solo note for note, but when you put him in a band, he couldn't mesh with anybody until he got around the right group of guys. That's who Brian was in the first movie. He was a talented guitar player who didn't know how to like fall into the rhythm, and he needed Dom to get him there. And by the end of it, he's just as good, if not better, a driver, than Dom. So I like that I in my head, again, I'm like, he's so good that if he shows up at the beginning, nobody's going to want to race. But if they bring him in at the end, then it's like, okay, yeah, now it's on, and that's kind of fun. The race is fun. I mean, they keep some of the same, flash CGI stuff where like you get to see the gears working and all that shit. I thought that was cool. They get like the Star Wars zip going by in the traffic. And I do like that this is not just the 10-second, race. Like this is a loop now. It's like you've got to the next stage of the video game that we're playing. I thought that was fun.
It is very video gamey, and I like that even in Suki's car, she has that screen that looks like it's got that cartoon.
The little
video game
anime
character on
girl.
it too, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that it gets angry when she's like put at the back and it's just like, rah! And she's like, rah! Like, oh, you're matching energies. This can't go well.
Exactly. But I mean, I like too that Luda's got the bridge for him. That was a nice twist of things. So,
I don't know if necessarily everyone would have agreed with him on that, but
the one guy bugged out, the
Yep.
other one totally crashed, and then Suki and Brian sort of survived it. So,
So I think I'm right here. 2 out of the 3 cars were actually jumping the bridge. That was actually a practical effect. And Suki's car had to be a model because it was a convertible, and the harness on it would have been really visible. So
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
They used like a model, and then
it's really well layered. Like it looks good.
Yeah.
It's a fun opening sequence. The other thing too, and we can get into as we go through, like the soundtrack of this is a completely different vibe. I mean, it's much more in line with like Ludacris and Outkast and that Dirty South stuff versus the techno rave stuff they had going in California in the first one, which I appreciated that it was, regionally significant.
Yeah.
It makes sense if you're going so far as to moving it to a completely different like part of the country, that the music needed to match that style.
Mhm.
And I think, like you pointed out, I think that I thoroughly enjoyed the first movie's soundtrack. I really liked this one though, because I wasn't really paying attention to it for a while, but when we were getting further into the film, I was like, I'm just absolutely jamming with this right now. This is so cool. And they're racing and I'm like, I love this. This is so good. I forgot how much I love these films so much.
And you got, I mean, of course you get Luda stuff on there, but I mean, you get a lot of people in this one, Fat Joe's on this. Remember him, y'all? Pitbull. This introduced me to Pitbull. I didn't know who that was at the time, but
at the time, I thought you were saying now you didn't know who Pitbull was.
Oh,
And
no.
I went, what?
I'm very aware of Mr. 305 or whatever the hell it is.
Yes, you are correct.
Mr. Worldwide.
Worldwide. So But no, I do like the opening too. I got a question for you though, and Brian, I'm specifically asking you this because again, you're the mechanical expert in this. Can you shoot an EMP weapon at a mostly fiberglass thing and it worked like that? I had questions about
I
that.
mean, theoretically, I don't see why not. But if it's fiberglass, you need some sort of grounding, and I guess
Right.
that's what it was supposed to be. So, everything does get grounded. I guess it could,
Yeah.
because I think they kind of have something like that now, but I don't know.
I
I
I
didn't do my research on that one, Jay.
No, it's fine.
I'm shooting from the hip.
I remember when he shot the car, and very clearly nothing is working, and he doesn't even think he can break the car before he's going to hit something. And they had gone back to the guy who had shot it, and even he looked like, oh crap, I might like kill this guy. And then thankfully he only hits like a pole. But I'm like, even I genuinely was like, oh my God, if he can hit the wall, this isn't gonna go well.
Yeah, law enforcement did not test that theory out enough before they
No,
deployed that weapon.
oh, even you knew this was a dumb idea.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's what that does. Okay, now we know. It's all right. But no,
They're not looking good in this film at all.
no. Well, I mean, yeah, they bring Brian in, and of course he punks out not Freddie Prinze, and all that is there's only one man I'm doing this with, and that introduces us to our other of the bro duo here, Roman Pierce. And again, as I said, I didn't know who Tyrese was, going into this movie or whatever, but I sure as hell knew who he was afterward, man. This dude chews the scenery up like he does these damn snacks in this movie. So much fun.
I
love
love
him.
it. Yeah. There are a few actors who just eat in every scene in every movie they're ever in. I really like his I'm hungry, you know.
I like his whole
his
thing
whole
because he's supposed to be
character,
so
yeah.
street, but he plays it like he's country. They're
Mhm.
from California, and I'm not saying California didn't have some rural to it, but come on, y'all. Like, I love that he plays it like he's a redneck. And I'm like, I don't know if that's an acting choice or not, because Singleton, in like the behind the scenes stuff, said he encouraged improv. So 80% of what Tyrese does, he's making up on the spot, take to take. So I don't even know what was written for the man. And he just was vibing with it. But I thought he was funny.
Could you picture him
Yeah.
walking up to the director and being like, I have this crazy idea. I'm going to spray this window, but it's not going to be with cleaning solution. I'm going to set it on fire. And the director went, love it. Let's just keep going
Cinema.
with it.
Yeah.
Cinema.
There are some scenes he has with Cole Hauser, like with Verone,
Mhm.
where it like knowing what you just said, Jay, that a lot of it was improv. Now thinking back on some of those scenes, I think he got Cole Hauser to like he was towing the line of breaking a few times.
There are faces where Eva Mendes is losing her shit when
Oh,
he's
yeah.
doing his stuff. Like you can see, like she's like, I can't hold this together. How Paul Walker remains that sentient piece of wood around him, I don't know. Like that's an acting choice.
I
Like
think that's why I like Tyrese so much. Is Paul is just like he's trying to like. I think there's that mentality of he was a cop. He's still going to kind of like he's like undercover. He's like I'm not going to toe the line.
mhm.
And then and then he's like, no, I don't care. I just got out of jail. I haven't eaten good food in 3 years. I'm just going for it.
Yeah, when we introduced
Better.
Roman at the demolition derby, that was
Mhm.
hilarious with the little
I loved
ankle bracelet and all that. I loved that. That he can't go far from his home. That's when you know, like, oh, that trailer over there, that's home. Like that's pretty slick.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, here's the reason. I think that Paul Walker was able to keep such a straight face around him, because this whole movie was kind of them being brothers, right? So we don't really know what their upbringing was. We know Roman was in jail for 3 years. We don't know where, which is where the Southern thing could have come from. But I kind of think about it where it's like, when you grow up with your siblings and they do just like stupid things all the time, you just kind of get used to it, right? Like it's not going to phase you. that's just how you're going to be. And I think that's kind of what they were illustrating. It's like he's just used to Roman being Roman, and this is just another day. Whereas other people, they kind of they get caught off guard.
Well, I think it's funny is that Brian tries to talk more and more street and streetwise throughout the movie, and Roman tries to be I don't know how to say this. He tries to be more Brian because the number of times he says the words Brian and the way he says it in this movie, it's a drinking game. You can go to the hospital if you play it. But I mean,
oh God, no Stephen King drinking game, please.
Again, that it's so funny because you don't expect that to come. Maybe you expect a little bit to come out of Walker based on the last performance, but you don't expect that to come out of Tyrese. But it's funny that it does, and I don't know. I dug it. I got a kick out of their energy, but moreover, they clearly got along together in some way and had fun with this. And I will appreciate actors that know what they're in and are just having fun with it.
I think Brian actually put it the best way is that they're even when the other Brian is talking to Roman and being like, don't do this. It does have an older sibling mentality of being like, shut up, Mom's gonna get really mad. Just put the damn cigar cutter down.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes. When they are introduced to everybody, and they get around, especially when they get around Verone and Fuentes and all that, and they're at the mansion and they're around those other racers and stuff, all the crap that's going on, it's like they just put stuff in front of Tyrese and just said, just play with that shit and do something weird. And he just did every time. And that was hilarious to me because he was always if you watch the Ocean's 11 movie, Brad Pitt is always got food. It's like his joke. He's like, I just want to always be eating something. And now that you know that when you watch the movie, you're like, what's this guy got a fucking shrimp cocktail in the middle of this hotel?
It's not even in just that. Brad Pitt is one of those actors that has to eat in every movie he's in.
It's like his thing. And I feel like they went to Tyrese and said, you need a thing. So he's like, well, just give me stuff to play with and I'll play with it and I'll do weird, I'll make it really uncomfortable for everybody. Okay.
It's honestly such a fun trope. I directed a show once and I gave one of the actors that thing, on stage. I was like, You're just going to always have food in your pocket. I don't care what it is. Always try to eat it every second you get. And she had a lot of fun with it. And it was just it was a fun little Easter egg for other people to see. Obviously, Tyrese did not. That wasn't an Easter egg. That's just who he was in this movie. Yeah. But him stealing the burrito from the cop's lunch bag.
Yes.
So
yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
They are having so much fun, and that's why it's so fun to watch. And I do feel like it's on purpose that you've got Brian and Roman here, and then they juxtapose them to one of the only other returning people from the thing. Tom Barry's Agent Bilkins, the FBI agent, comes back, and they pair him with James Remar, who's the most intense customs agent ever. And they're like the in 20 years, boys, this will be you, and I could see it really their whole energy and everything. They matched each other.
He was such a dad, especially when they were fighting. Just him sitting off on the side and be like, are you done? Okay, cool. Let's move on. It very much, that was there's a lot of family dynamic and he's very much like the dad. And he's the most calm of everybody in those meetings, which probably was needed with some of the intense fight scenes that we got, or at least the one.
I feel like James Remar is replacing Ted Levine's character from the first movie, right? And he was trying to be Mr. Tough and all that kind of stuff. And I like that he's also, they've had to call him in because their thing is screwed up. They don't know if Eva Mendes has completely turned to the dark side or not. But also, hell of an idea. Hey, look, you're really gorgeous. Why don't you go infiltrate and become the guy's girlfriend for a year?
They knew that she was undercover, right? And she was clearly Verone's girlfriend. And when Roman's talking about, she's sleeping with the enemy, all I could think of was, well, of course. I mean, Verone isn't going to keep her around. if she's not doing girlfriend type things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to think that this was such a shock to her boss, that like, is this true? Is that really happening? What kind of relationship? It's like, yeah,
you're literally paying her to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't bring the red sparrow in and not let them sparrow. Like, that's kind of the point.
I mean,
so far, like, I'm Catholic goes when you're dating a guy like Jerome.
Yeah, I know. It's like, sorry, I not before marriage, not happening.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like every single time they question her, she's doing everything that basically she was asked to do for her job in order to, one, keep herself alive, and two, follow the mission. It's like, it's just, but also at the same time, she's doing the bare minimum during this movie. I feel like I've seen Eva Mendes act, and there were some scenes that I just thought, not your best work, sweetheart.
I mean,
it didn't fit somehow, and I couldn't like put my finger on it.
Yeah, like Letty and Mia looked like real people that were part and connected to that group, right? And they look like people you would meet today. They're both gorgeous, but I mean, they look like they could just be normal human. Eva Mendes is a fucking model, all right? And she can't be anything but a fucking model all the time. And so the idea that she's this undercover customs agent is it's a stretch. Like they don't give her anything to prove her copness. You know, we don't get to see her do anything. Like she holds a gun later. It's like the first time she's ever seen one.
It honestly looks like she's only picked up a gun a couple times in her life when she picks it up.
Which
like,
I don't know how many times
it's very heavy, and it might be very heavy.
Yeah, like I don't know how many times customs agents have to draw down on anybody, but I'm sure they've been trained the same way as every other federal agent. So like it's that's what I say. Like I would have bought it if she was like the forensic accountant and just happened to be drop dead gorgeous, and they're like, we're making you go in there because you're going to unravel the numbers and the supply chain. Like it would have been a stretch, but at least that would have given her something to do other than lay by the pool all day. Which is maybe why Baby White Scarface doesn't trust her. I mean, he clearly knows the whole time. Like, I don't think he's not fooled by her betrayal at all.
Apparently not for the first year, though. He's like, you were with me for a year, and then you slipped up. But one thing I did want to bring up is that we also have like two female characters in this movie. We have Devon Aoki, who's playing Suki, and then we have Eva Mendes playing Veronica. And I think that's why Eva Mendes, well, I guess I don't want to say like specifically like looking at the two female characters that are in this movie, but because you've got Suki, who seems to be more into it. Some of her lines are a little bit because this was her first film, I believe. But it was more believable than some of Ava's, who is a more seasoned actress. So I think that's why people like her like take on this film was just so contrasting compared to everybody else.
I mean, I like the fact that Suki can hold her own with Tej in terms of like gear knowledge. Like, I don't know how real any of that shit is, but she was at least fun. Like what that set up for the franchise is that you got to have like technical people to keep the racers in line and to put their stuff together. So they kind of built this sort of like, you know, you got to have your team, you know, and all that. And that's part of it. And I like that she was given a lot of like character agency to prove that she knew what she was doing. You know, whereas Eva Mendes really only was asked to look pretty. Now she did a great job at it, but I didn't buy her as a customs whatever.
I don't think she was supposed to be. I think you guys are kind of thinking about this in a different order of operations, right? It sounds like you're thinking she was employed as a U.S. customs agent, and then they decided to put her in, right? I think it was kind of more the opposite. Is how I think these operations work. What are the chances someone like that that has those looks is really going to choose that as a career?
Excellent point.
I think the way that this ended up working out in this world is that they found someone that they thought Verone would go for. And from there, she was groomed to then become an undercover U.S. customs agent, which is pretty much how a lot of intelligence operations works. So she was operating and acting as, you know, a model. And that's why, to me, she seemed out of place as a customs agent because she wasn't really a real one to begin with. She just became one or recruited to be one. You know, in exchange for who knows what, right? Family, something like that, getting out of prison or some sort of exchange. But that to me is kind of how I would see it becoming a little bit more realistic is that she was just someone that was on the beach one day. They went out looking for someone that was going to fit that mold and recruited him in, right? Kind of what they did with Brian. He was an on the run criminal. He was really good at street racing, and so that's what they needed, is someone that was going to then fit in. So, but he wasn't necessarily a cop first. That's just how they found him. And that's kind of how I see it. That's why she looked at a place kind of holding a gun. That's why she was uncomfortable with the things that she was exposed to with the detective and the window scene. That's kind of what I saw from this. I didn't at all ever think that she was customs and then this is where her assignment was.
That makes so much more sense.
It really does. Yeah. Like my mind is blown because I had never considered that, but it makes a ton
That's a
of
good point.
You're right. I mean, well, we know like Brian and Roman.
This is why we like having you on.
This is your expertise in these movies, man. So,
she was Miss Congeniality.
I mean, in my head, I was like, so she was like David Boreanaz. They just saw her walking down the street and was like, you look intense. And next thing you know, you have a career. So, I mean, really, that was how he got his job. But I mean, I love that because it unlocks so much more and it explains way more about how she operates now too.
Yeah.
And stuff. So no, that makes sense. Cause like Brian and Roman, they have like the juvenile delinquent history. One went to jail, one became a cop, and then he infiltrated a bunch of street racers and like fell in love with it. Same as Johnny Utah found surfing by, infiltrating a surfing thing. So I like that.
Time.
Yeah. Right. I mean, haven't we all dreamed of doing these things. But double clutching when you're supposed to be, whatever the line was in the first movie. But yeah. But no, I like our little teams of everybody here. We're getting all this, but we need to dive into, as I've called him, White Scarface, Carter Verone here. Drug kingpin / like, I don't know. He's also doing other shipments that are illegal and stuff. I don't know. I'll give Cole Hauser this, and it's a mark through everything I've ever seen him play. He has a really intense glare. Like he can always look pissed off. And I think that works for him as a bad guy. I mean, he's a cartoon character in this movie, but he's not bad. He's actually pretty believable.
He's got great screen presence. I mean, I think of him in Dazed and Confused is where he was also really good too.
Yeah, good point.
I'm still a little offended that you called him a favorite fat cowboy because that's not fat, but
Rip's bigger than your normal guy. So.
He's bigger than he was in this movie.
No shame. I understand. So.
But he's got a way to command attention whenever he does come on the screen, and it's just really neat to watch that happen, especially with the interactions that he has with Roman Pierce. There was a couple times, or actually one of my favorite, and it was, if you caught it, great, but it was when they were at the club and they were going to leave and Roman went to grab the cigar cutter for the second time.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he almost broke, but it was still just those two on screen. And he just does a phenomenal job as that fake tan white baby Scarface, as you call him. The range of characters is really impressive.
Roman going for the cutter the second time is one of my favorite. That was exactly the moment I had in mind when you said that he had permission to improv as much as he wanted. I was like, that definitely was not planned.
I definitely think though that Cole Hauser put that there because he knew exactly what was going to happen, and he was like, "I'm going to feed into this energy." Like,
Cole Hauser is like Hollywood royalty. Like his dad was this longtime character actor and playwright. His mom was in the business. I mean, he grew up around it, so he knows what he's doing. And I love that he was able to feed another person that, like we're talking about. It's a lot of fun. So
he can morph though, like the way, like his looks change so effortlessly, like can change. He looks so different in everything, but always has that, wait, where do I know that guy from? Oh shit, that's
the eyes, man. It's those eyes. Like he's got just a set of peeps that you see him and you're like, well, I know who that is. Like if he were to play a masked wrestler or whatever, like, nah, we know who that is. Like he's just got eyes that just stick through. You can't hide them. So
he's the American version of Michael Sheen, in my opinion. Like every time I feel that way about Michael Sheen too. I'm like, how do I know him? Oh my God, it's the Volturi. Great.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, I thought I liked the Verone character. I mean, again, as the two-dimensional bad guy, and that's not his fault. He's not written to be anything more than that. And so what? You don't need it. I thought it was fun. What's wild is like the way that they get those. Like, I swear, John Singleton's making a riff on. Y'all remember the dramatic gopher gif? That
Yeah,
happens
the
when
dun
they do the
dun
boat jump and
dun.
he turns around to look at that. It's the dramatic gopher. I swear to God. So this is what he's doing.
God.
Cole Hauser, America's favorite dramatic
Dramatic
gopher.
gopher. He's also probably wondering, like I did, hey, that boat was well out into the water. How the hell did they
Quote.
jump that Camaro that far? But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Lindsay, can you please make that a quote? I feel like we need to eventually make a film strip T-shirt with all the quotes.
we could have a whole set of them. So, but
Really quickly though, this I actually did for a brief moment because it's been so long since I saw this film. When he started to talk about how women manipulate men in the club, when he's like
mhm.
using the example, I know what it eventually led to. But when I watched that, I went, is this your way of telling me that Ava Mendez's character is actually in charge of everything and you're just kind of the front man? I went, oh, that would be such a really cool twist. And then I went, no, 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 that's not what it is. And I was correct. But I did for a minute go, where are you
Hey,
going with this?
I like that piece of fan fiction, though.
I do.
It
It goes
probably
along with
exists.
Brian's theory that if they just found her and then made her be an agent, what if she was like, you know what? Screw the cops. I'm gonna be a drug kingpin too, or
I'm going to be the head of a cartel. This is great.
yeah. Like that would have
Way
been a
more
hell of a
money in it.
twist at the
Yeah.
end where she's like, sorry, boys, I'm in charge. Like that would have been
Like,
funny.
oh,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
and
That
she
would have been a
speeds off
twist.
in her cigarette boat.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
That would have been awesome. Yeah, like it shoots out. No, she jumps on like a sea-doo in the middle of that yacht and takes
yes,
off.
it's just
and,
conveniently there. And she's like,
yeah,
take
and
me away.
right,
Bye.
right. Well, it breaks off like the Disco Volante and Thunderball does.
Yes.
You know, that's what should have happened. But no, I like the way that we have all these characters and they clearly everyone understands the assignment. Like I appreciate movies that are, if they're going to be this cheese fest, at least everyone knows what they're doing. Like that third Transformers movie is completely ridiculous, but
my God.
everybody in it, from McDreamy to freaking John Malkovich to especially Shia LaBeouf, understands what they're there to do. And that's to yell and dodge 50,000 9/11s in Chicago while the Transformers wreck everything. And it makes that movie fun and watchable. Like that's what you have to have. If anybody's taking this shit too seriously, it's like, no, that's not gonna work. And like James Remar like is right on that line, but he's that stereotypical cop that yells at everybody all the time. So that's his role to play next to Bilkins, who, like you say, is just sort of the dad. Like, I'm just trying to keep this circus, somewhat together.
Children, you're all pretty. Just let's keep it together, please.
Exactly. Yeah, and I love the two other henchmen. They give them names. They had like real names, but I think they get like cheesy names that Brian and Roman are constantly racing against and doing stuff with. I love those guys. Like they light their car on fire and they're constantly losing them in races. Those were like two rent-a-thugs that were completely not worth it. Like they suck in every way, but they're kind of a comedic relief for that.
When their car got stolen and they're left on the side of the road with their girlfriends hugging them, just the look on their face is just like, you thought you kicked like an old dog or something. They're just like, left on the side of the road with my really attractive girlfriend and I have to walk home now.
I mean, they're funny that way, though, right?
Oh, I
Like,
love it. I love it. Like around that time is when I started to really appreciate this film because I didn't know if everyone was going to give in to the cheese factor,
right.
as you pointed out, Jay. And it's around this time or a little bit before it, I went, okay, everyone's on board. I think that I understand what I'm watching a little bit better.
Yeah, Roberto and Enrique are their names, I should
Yeah.
say, by the way. So, but they were kind of funny. I don't know. I thought they were hilarious.
They're good. I like the moments they have when when they're in the American Muscle, right? They've already got the bags of money, and they've got the thug bodyguards, whatever, in the passenger seat before the what do we call it? The expecto pasito.
Yeah, I call it the James Bond gadget. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
it's
James
just
Bond gadget.
it's just the ejection
Before
seat.
before they
the
get
yeet.
ejected. Yeah, before they get ejected from the seat. And there are a couple of times when these guys are actually really nice
Yeah.
to like Brian O'Connor. I love the, hey, you're a really good driver, man. And he just looks so, Brian O'Connor looks so confused, and he goes, thanks.
Thanks, bro.
man.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then the next thing you see them, they're like very serious. And I'm like, no, go back to being the fun guy, please.
I chalk that up to the other side of letting actors improv and do things is that continuity sometimes becomes damned in that process when you don't have people good like Tyrese and Cole Hauser to pull it off. So
Well, or maybe it's oh yeah, I really think you're cool. Oh crap, I gotta kill you. All right, maybe I should remember all the reasons why I'm mad at you. Just so that this makes
something.
it easier.
What y'all make of the cars in this movie too? Because that's such a big part of this franchise, especially these early ones, is all the vehicles and stuff. I mean, I like Brian's. We talked about Suki's car. I kind of like the two Mitsubishis that they GPS out on them. I think those are kind of fun looking cars.
I think we got to talk about, what is it? The
Yanko?
Yanko? Yeah,
That's
we got to talk
deserves the
about
most
the
credit out of
Yanko.
anything in this.
That's on you. You got to talk about it. I can't talk about it.
I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about. It was basically a performance edition Camaro that only certain dealerships could sell,
Right.
and kind of backed by Chevrolet. They were some that came out of the factory. There was some that were built at the dealership specifically. The most recent one that sold went for just north of $500,000 in a couple weeks ago at one of the auctions.
Wow.
So they're pretty rare vehicles, right? And in this movie, it was a replica. I believe it was donated to Paul Walker's charity ultimately. But I mean, to me, that was one that shined out the most. I mean, those you seldom ever see them. For me, the Viper has been a favorite. I particularly always like the GTS, which I think was a little bit more common. They normally have the two white stripes up the middle, and it's what a lot of people think of when they think of that car. But this one was just, I think it was more of a base model. I think it was well, not base, but not their top line. I did like the Mitsubishis were a lot of fun. I mean, to me, they just look like Hot Wheels cars come to life.
Yes.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. The skyline that Brian had is very classic. And that's just, I mean, that's just in a class of its own too. A lot of people like that. I thought it was interesting that he had the only right-hand drive car in that.
Yes.
Okay. I thought that I was looking at it going, is he on the right side? I did catch that, so I'm very happy that I'm not the only one who did.
Yep, yeah. He's on the right side. So I love that, again, they maintain a little bit of the continuity with the car stuff and things, but you called it out like the Hot Wheels stuff. This is right before Pimp My Ride becomes the cultural phenomenon that it will be for a few years. And I feel like it's in direct relation to a lot of what happened in this movie and the last movie is that sort of just, not only we're going to trick the engines out, but we're also going to make these things look absolutely ridiculous on the outside so that when they blow by you at 100 miles an hour, you remember the pink blur that it came by.
I mean, when you look at the beginning of the title, like it's the neon lights that are like strobing through before the actual title pops up. And I think that the colors that you are seeing just absolutely screams kind of where this is taking place and also the personalities of these people. And then when they went with the sneaky cars, they were a little bit more muted in comparison to the ones that we saw that were like chartreuse and vibrant pink and purple. So I think it's fun. I love the scene where all the cars come out.
Oh, the scramble.
Just, oh my God. Just absolutely. I am not an expert in cars, but when I lived in New York, I would go to the car shows, the year car shows, at the Jacob Javits Center. And just, I would drool over just how beautiful they all were. And so this was just a feast for the eyes, I feel like, even if you're not a big car person.
That's one of
Yeah.
the better stunt sequences too.
It was, and you know, for me, that's the one part where I feel like they could have made a significant improvement on the movie. Was they drove those cars into the garage, right, full of cash with their partners that's about to kill them, unbeknownst to those guys, right? Because this wasn't a part of their plan that they told them about. And they got that they first convinced them like, no, listen, this is going to be okay. We're going to drive into this garage full of hundreds of other cars, and we're going to get in another car, and then we're going to leave. So where was that scene where like, A, they're being told this, right? Like, what's the reaction to these guys when they're hearing this? Like, oh, okay, you know. Second, the shuffling of the money. Do you think they had help like shuffling these duffel bags of money? Do you think he was just chill with anybody and everybody, just helping to grab all these bags of money and put it in another car?
Because Tej had to get into Tej and Suki had to get into the other cars.
Well, but the fact that they had to move the duffel bags at one point, like, there's no way Verone would have been like, yeah, that's pretty chill, guys, go ahead. And then like getting in another car, and then that whole thing, it would have been a fun sequence to show, you know, kind of the uncertainty.
Wrap them in the trunk.
Of the uncertainty of the law enforcement outside with what is going on, and showing all the chaos inside, and then being able to go back out. I think there was a missed moment there that they really could have capitalized on with just that touch of humor, like Fast and Furious likes to do. And I'm just surprised that they didn't show just some part of that. That was the only part of the movie I wish I got to see.
No, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it like that, but it is a wild set of happenstance that they go along with it. Unless maybe, and I'll just do the movie a favor and say, at this point, Brian and Roman have beaten these guys like 3 times. So when it comes to cars, they're just gonna have to freaking listen to them. And maybe Verone doesn't know, like what he don't know don't hurt him, as long as he gets his money where he wants to get it. So, because remember, he's trying to like throw off the scent of the cops, so he's got them all scrambling, the cops all at the airport, while he's waiting for the cars to come and drop it on the yacht for him. So I don't know. That's the only rewrite I'll give you. But you're right. It would have been a good bit of humor to watch Roman go, no, man, for real, we need to do this. Like, come on, you want to do this up, bro? Like, you ain't gonna make me do this myself. So.
Yeah. And to Ryan's point, I mean, what's really cool about this scene as well is that it draws people that aren't really into cars into it, because it's just a very cool scene. And it's something cool to see that you never see this in general, right? But to have non-car people like now pay attention, and let's not forget that this was the time when everyone was throwing giant body kits on their foreign import cars. Mitsubishi was a big thing. The Eclipse was huge. I love these things. You never see them enough anymore. But to me, the giant spoiler, nothing looks awkward than a giant spoiler on one of those cars.
That wing on the back of the car.
Everybody had them. It was a whole tuner scene. And I'm actually hearing whispers that we're starting to have that come back, because the people and the kids that enjoyed it at that time now have a little bit of disposable income that they're able to kind of spend it on this stuff, which is kind of what happened with the muscle cars, because everybody that grew up and watched them, you know, they all got to a point. Now the guys, for the most part, who have them are the ones with that income. So I'm pretty hopeful that we get to see a little bit more of this. But any movie that can draw in people that aren't normally into a certain hobby and can apply to everybody is you know, says something about it.
I want one of those ramming trucks. That's what I want.
The ones that were just like, get the fuck. That's roll over you.
Those were kind of awesome. I agree. So
they were smart. They were like, no, we're not going to break the pretty ones. We've already done that enough in this film.
Back it up. Give me some fog lights.
Exactly.
And
what kind of truck do you use to ram the police?
A Ram.
A Dodge Ram.
Exactly. Of course.
You know what would have been fun is that if they did somehow convince any of the previous actors to come in from the first one, like just as a cameo, as like driving one
part
of
of the drivers,
like a one shot or two.
Yeah.
Like
that could have also been
the cavalry. Yeah,
that could have been a little bit fun. But
I kind of feel like that's Tej and Suki's job, is that they're the ones organizing all the other drivers in town to come and do this. I'm with you. We needed inserts of the other racers that we saw earlier. It would have been better.
That? Do you think they put like a Craigslist post out? Like, how did that happen?
That's got to be back in those days. Yeah, MySpace. Everybody, you use your top 8. I'll go to my top 8, and we'll, because we weren't monitoring.
We're gonna change our status on.
It's a whole car community thing, because even back then, people still do street racing, right? That still happens, and that's normally
That's
you
a good
don't post
point.
this stuff online
Yeah.
because police will find out about it. So it's not uncommon, for people to be able to text one or two people, and they let other people know, and that chain can just fire so fast. And if
that
you
flip
enjoy
phone
this
out.
as a hobby, yeah, you need to be able to congregate fast and then get out of there fast, because that's what they would do. They shut down the streets, they have their circuit race, and then they'd go on. Right. So I don't think it's not unheard of to be able to think of, hey, let everybody know this is where we have to be and when, and then just send that out. To me, it's the same as showing up for any other street race. It's getting everybody together with your car at one location, which they showed wasn't an issue, especially in the first one.
Yeah.
No.
Good point.
They all drove out of that parking garage so beautifully.
That was well choreographed.
Yeah. I'm just thinking to myself, I've been in one of those during a festival, trying to get out of it's like, no, wait, it's their turn.
It's not my favorite car thing in any of these movies. That comes in one of the later ones. Maybe one day we'll talk about it, but it's one of the coolest looking things. And it is a cool send off into the climax of this movie, where it's all going to take place out at the yacht and all that. And we got to talk about the boat jump sequence where we get in the Yanko and we're going to do some Dukes of Hazzard shit. Because I mean, again, like you see this boat and it's clearly well out into the channel, right? From where they are driving to ramp from. But then it suddenly decides, no, let's go right alongside the shore. So this looks somewhat more believable. Like, I would have just bought it more if they had figured out, we're going to jump this car a good 150 yards, to make it work. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, what got me is that they're showing this yacht going alongside this high-end Camaro. And I mean, these Camaros were able to do like 140 miles an hour. So even if he was doing half that speed, I mean, those boats, Jay, that yacht can't go more than maybe 20.
I was gonna say, right? There's no way.
So like to try to show that, like, oh, this is a race between the yacht and the Camaro. Not even close.
I never thought about that.
The gif of the math equations like popping up behind you. You're like,
Yeah, well, even I knew that was bullshit. And I don't know anything
horror
about
movie physics where the slasher is walking and the other people are sprinting for their lives. But yet,
oh, look, it's the same physics that they made Among Us with. I swear Jason has like vents all over Crystal Lake, and that's how he gets around so quick. He just vents.
Has anyone ever seen the movie Kung Pao?
Yes, yeah.
Do you remember when he's like, chosen one? He's like, I'm coming, and she keeps saying it, and it keeps repeating back to the original start, and he gets a little bit forward, and then it goes back, and then it keeps going. That is kind of what was running through my brain with this whole yacht situation, especially at the end when they're in open water in that last shot.
But never have I not watched this sequence, though, and been on board with it in spite of its ridiculousness. Because I'm like, well, of course, the car's got to be the weapon here. So we're going to jump this car into this boat. Now, I don't know a lot about yachts, but I do know that they're not exactly built for impact. And I feel like that car would have gone straight through it. Like everyone would have sank and drowned.
I mean, it kind of did. Like, it didn't go fully through. It didn't thread the needle or anything, but it busted it up.
I mean, I think the other thing, I don't know, because it has a helipad, right? So to a point, it would have had to have been designed to withstand an impact from an incoming aircraft. So it's not unreasonable to think that it could take somewhat of an impact, and it did collapse, right? That deck did collapse,
and the jet ski went flying.
Yeah, and everything went flying. But still, I don't know why, especially at this time, they chose a yacht. Because let's face it, in Miami, there was no shortage of go fast boats, right?
Right. Yeah. Why wasn't he on a cigarette boat? Yeah.
Yeah. Easily, and that's what it should have been, right? Because why would he be going so slow to deliver drug money? Like, you're not going to take your slowest vehicle to go and do this.
He has to show his luxury life, I made you do a run for a cigar. I go to clubs, I'm going to run away on my yacht because he didn't think he was going to get caught.
That's what I was going to say. I think he thought all the heat was at the airport. I've distracted them all. I don't need to make a suspicion of myself. I'm just going to sneak on out the harbor. He just didn't realize he was dealing with the two craziest dudes in the world.
Could you imagine if
land
they
a
do?
fucking Camaro on his boat?
Thank God Veronica didn't die when that thing freaking went on top. If just the whole top collapsed, it's like, well, you tried to save her, but I guess you kind of did. He didn't kill her. You did.
Well, I do love the fact that when they crash, like both Brian and Roman are like messed up from it. Brian's got a concussion. Roman's broken his arm or something. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fair because they were putting on seatbelts, but it wasn't doing no good. So at that point, they didn't have race belts in there.
That's actually funny you mentioned that because there is some parts, not just with them, but even with like this with the goons that they're like, buckle up, we gotta be safe. I know what's potentially going to happen. I'm very grateful that they thought about, I guess, safety before they decided to collide with a yacht.
Yeah, yeah. I just think it's funny
too. Right? Didn't you say no? Well, it's a specific. Brian pointed this out.
All the seats were Sparko seats.
All the seats were Sparko seats.
But I don't think they were they didn't have that in the Camaro because it wasn't originally like part of the racer community. They wanted off of Fonzie or whatever his name was.
For the dumb ones of the group, can you clarify what a Sparko seat is?
It is a brand.
Just a brand of racing seat, and it looked like the other cars had at least a 4-point in it, if not a 5. But it's just a racing seat with a harness in it.
Yeah.
And every other car had it except this one had, good old fashioned lap belts. So
they were just in bucket seats with like lap belts. I'm like, that's not gonna help.
Maybe that's what they were maybe that's what they were trying to allude to. It's like, okay, he has a concussion and he broke his arm. Okay, these standard seats, it makes sense.
I like it though.
Really well though. They do play it really well.
They do. They play it off well, and then of course Eva Mendes is, as we've talked about, is uncomfortably holding that shotgun on Verone. But that's when we get it all. But we get the end of it is that they get their record. We hadn't even talked about it. Like that was the whole deal. It was like, we'll clear your record because that's always the conceit. And when you get the criminals to do your work for you, I wonder how often that actually happens. I mean, I know it does some because there are a lot of like ex bank robbers and computer thieves that work for the FBI now. Instead of going to prison, they got a job. So that's a real thing. I've met a few of them, but like I wonder. Like I love at the end though, where they're all like, so it's just 3 bags, right? And Tyrese is like, okay, here's the other 3. And that's when you knew, like, nah, man, they're definitely holding behind. That scene though with Paul Walker and him at the very end, where he's doing that. I don't know what Paul Walker's choice is there with that whole pockets ain't empty, cuz, and I'm just laughing. We ain't gonna be hungry no more either. I'm like, y'all are the weirdest, nerdiest dudes on the planet. What the hell?
It's 2 brothers literally that are just thinking they got away with stealing a couple of cookies from Mom's jar because they went, I put them all back.
Well, but you know, like Ramar maybe doesn't know, but Bilkins knows, like, these dudes are ripping us off.
There is a moment where you go, they're gonna count the money at some point.
They didn't know how much he had, though.
Oh, that's true.
They didn't know how much he had, so that's how they were able to do the theft. You're right. So, but yeah, I love that they're like, let's go open up a garage, and but they go from that like handing over the money scene to when they're coming around the corner, and I swear it's a completely different energy. Like I think they shot the other one like later because it's got such a lighter mood to it. I don't know. And I don't mind the movie ends on a light joke. I mean, it's funny. The pockets ain't empty, cuz line is just, oh god. I mean. But it works for this movie, so
yeah, they have such great chemistry.
They really do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that'll carry forward. I mean, in the movies that they're in together in this series, well, we're at the part of the podcast where it's time to get final thoughts, recommendations, and popcorn ratings. Let's go around the horn and get yours for Too Fast, Too Furious. Ryan, let's start with you.
So this was a fun. I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into because it's been so long since I've seen this particular movie from the franchise. But once I got into it, I was fully into it. I loved the nostalgia that I faced. I loved that everyone just went full ham on this. I loved the music, to the atmosphere, to the cars, of course, because it's a racing film. it just there it's I think somebody said it, I think it was UJ. It's kind of like a cozy like film that you can just enjoy for what it is. And there's I think that people should go back and take a look at this film because I think that they'll find that they really enjoy it, especially as, somebody who watched it when they were like 12, 13 years old, to 37-year-old me. I'm gonna give it a large popcorn with one of the fun like prints that used to get at the theaters where it's like you go to see the opening night and it's got all the fun neon colors. I'm gonna give it a
Mhm.
large popcorn on this one.
Brian, not O'Connor.
This is to me this is one of my favorites. I mean, it's one of my favorites in the franchise because it stays what it is at its core, with stemming from a street racing scene and a street racer delinquent, to then kind of saving the day. I think that was really cool. Having Roman enter the franchise with this movie, I mean, he did a phenomenal job. He is an excellent addition to the group. And I think for people that would just enjoy a really good movie, I mean, it's tough not to like this. To me, it's got everything. It's got a little bit of humor. It's got a little bit of a plot. It's got fun cars to look at. And it's got good looking women if that's what you're into. And I think it's just all around a fun movie. So I would definitely go with a large popcorn with extra butter for sure.
All right, Lynn, how about you?
I also really enjoy this movie. I don't think I would classify it as a terrible two. And my only complaint really about the entire Fast and Furious franchise is that they never bring Suki back for another movie.
Mm.
I loved her in this movie. I thought she's such an underrated character in the franchise. And I really do wish that she had come back for more films. But honestly, such a fun movie. I don't think I have anything else to add to what Ryan and Brian, not O'Connor, already said. So I'm also gonna give it a large popcorn, but I want to make it pink. Remember when they used to do neon
Yeah.
colored popcorn? Jay,
Yeah,
you
the
you
dye.
must remember. Yeah,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
You could buy it in like the bag, but these are not like microwave popcorn bags. But I give it a large neon pink popcorn.
There's a gourmet popcorn place in the 7th Street Market here in Charlotte that sells that kind of popcorn. It's like different coatings and colors and stuff on it. It's always a lot of fun. So, yeah.
Ooh.
Look, everything about this movie, in terms of its plot, its structure, all of it, is a total cheese fest medium popcorn, like all the way. But it gets elevated again, mostly by Tyrese, but I think he bled off on everybody else by knowing what the assignment is and just leaning into the fun of it. That first movie is fun and it's a fun, but I'm not gonna lie, this is more fun to rewatch than the first one. Because when I'm watching the first one, I'm just comparing it to Point Break. When I'm watching this one, there ain't nothing to compare it to because it is one of one. The two is one. Like it's its own thing, and it's a way more fun experience. So it bumps it up to large popcorn for me as well. And like I described it before, if I'm just going to randomly watch any of the Fast and Furious movies, no lie, I'm probably going to pick 5, and that there's a reason for that because I'll say that it's got my favorite driving sequence in it. But if I just want easy ones to go by, I'm going to watch 2 and 3 and just leave them on, because they're just easy to go by. They're not like anything else in the lexicon. They're like the Poison albums when CC DeVille got fired as guitar player. Then they had Richie Kotzen and Blue Saraceno in it. Only Film Strip Brian's going to get this joke, but it'll pop him. Those albums don't really sound like the other Poison albums, but they are cool in their own right, and that's this movie and part 3 as well. So that's how I like it. I think it's large popcorn too. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm glad we got to talk about it here on the show. Brian, always great talking movies with you, man. We'll definitely have to have you back on when we do more of these and other things as well, because it's not like you're far away from our regular co-host here.
Always a pleasure, Jay. A lot of fun. Thank you.
Absolutely. And folks, you can follow this show on social media at Film Strip Pod, where we post announcements about upcoming shows. We link to our other friend shows, things like that. And of course, go ahead and check out this show wherever you find your podcasts. Full archives, 450 plus episodes in there. There's something for everybody. So go in there and enjoy that. And hey, if you can, leave us a positive review. It helps other people find the show. So until next time, thank you for listening to Filmstrip.
Thank you for listening to Filmstrip. You can find more episodes on our website, filmstrippodcast.com. The Filmstrip theme music is produced and performed by Frozen Lake 121. All content used or discussed in these podcast episodes is the property of the respective owners and used under the Fair Use Act, Section 504, C2, Title 17.